most ordinary British people didn't want them. They wanted the money. So it's not just ordinary Greek people we're talking about here. I think that the government should give the money it made. Lord Elgin the current Lord Elgin should give the equivalent now to the poor of the city of Leicester.
I think we've all decided by now whether we think the Elgin Marbles should stay or should they go. But what do they represent and why are they such important artworks? If their Wikipedia entry is anything to go by, they didn't exist before Lord Elgin controversially relocated them to Britain. So are we missing some wonderful, history? With us is Edith Hall, Professor in Classics and Ancient History at Durham. Good morning to Edith.
Good morning.
They are a political football, these marbles, if I can sort of mash together two spherical concepts in one, but they are a piece of art. Should we reflect on them as what they are as a piece of art at first?
Oh, please do. By far the most compelling argument for their return to their Greek homeland is aesthetic. Some people have said that it's Mitsotakis, the Prime Minister of Greece, so brutally snubbed this week by our Prime Minister, has said it's like chopping the Mona Lisa in half and having one bit in one country and one in another. I think that that's not even a complicated enough picture, because we've actually, Lord Elgin got his slaves with crowbars to take off frieze comes from actually inside. He denuded things that are completely integral to the aesthetic experience, not just of the Parthenon, but of the entire Acropolis, which is a set of three different temples that are all, the artworks all reflect integrally within each other. It's by the greatest architect probably who ever lived, if in terms of influence, Phidias, who was brought in by Pericles, the great head of Athens especially, to conceive this plan. And judging by the number of imitations in terms of banks and town halls and law courts all over the planet, he was by the most influential architect of all time. I really think he has to have his artwork unified.
There's a line in the Times, though, which neither Asma or I were very aware of, that actually what remains is spread between 9 museums. So was this whole thing just looted across the world?
Oh, totally. Everybody wanted a bit once they realised how special. I mean, the images are so famous of the horsemen and the gods sitting at banquet and so on, and the river Ilissus lying down. That everybody, once Elgin had been there, wanted a bit, and he'd only managed to get about 2/3 of the frieze off. And so others went in, but various places have already sent theirs back, including the Pope, who had a bit in one of the Vatican museums. I happen to know that there are still bits of it in the stately home of the current Lord Elgin, which is when you go over the Forth Bridge, you just turn left. I only know that because my mother knew the family. She was from Fife. I don't think they're any of the most beautiful bits, but Lord Elgin did not give it all back. And he sold the best bits because he was completely strapped for cash in 1816. His very rich wife had left him and had managed to and he sold it for really the equivalent of probably only 6 figures, or maybe a few million today. Not the kind of, but he was just absolutely desperate. Also, he wanted to make a Parthenon in his own gardens. The plan was to build one, and some of the pillars actually ended up as Perth's Sheriff Court. If you go to Perth, you can see the pillars, the Doric pillars he made for his own pet Parthenon in his garden. I mean, he was an absolute charlatan.
There we go. There's always a story, isn't there? And I love the fact that he was strapped for cash because his wife left him.
And there's more. At the time, there was huge parliamentary debate, and the left wing of the Liberal Party, there was no Labour Party then, all argued. They had a bread not bones campaign, especially a famous minister from Leicester, because he said that if we give him all this money, because there was the famine after the Napoleonic Wars, this is 1816 we're talking about. Most ordinary British people didn't want them. They wanted the money. So it's not just ordinary Greek people we're talking about here. I think that the government should give the money it made. Lord Elgin the current Lord Elgin should give the equivalent now to the poor of the city of Leicester.
Well, let's do one step at a time, Edith. Like, we're going to debate whether they go back first, and then Elgin's reparations can be the second issue we debate. The history on this is really fascinating. Thank you for joining us.
Well, I would love to come on for longer and talk about it, because I have much more to colourful stuff that we haven't got time to go into.
Edith,
we'll do a part 2.
We're going to do a part 2. I can promise you this story is not going to disappear.
I think so.
So we will have you back to go into this into great detail. Really interesting stuff. That's Edith Hall, Professor in Classics and Ancient History at Durham.